All right. Hello. If you just saw the rest of my removal process, welcome back. If you're just joining me, we are going to be doing a French backfill on the lovely Georgia. I restarted it because the camera was the wrong direction and I didn't want you guys having to see it in that direction for the whole thing. So, all right, let's get going. So, I'm just going to do a light push back of the cuticle. And I'm going to show you guys a bit that I recently discovered that I absolutely love for prepping. I have a ton of them in stock because I ordered them in from Mr. Bruce Atwood, and I'm going to have them on my website. I'm in the process right now of completely redoing my website. I'm almost done, so just give me another day or two and hopefully I can launch it. And with that is going to be a sale. So I'm not even going to get this new bit on my old website if it's not on there, because on the new website, once I launch it, it's going to be on sale. So if you guys give it a couple of days, I will be promoting that and show you guys. Michelle says good morning. Good morning, Michelle. All right, so this is my favorite new bit. So one of the reasons I haven't used a lot of prep bits and tried talking with everyone about prep bits is because it is so essential to make sure that your prep bits are not smoothed out. And a lot of the time people will get prep bits and they'll use them and use them and use them, and they end up getting so smooth that they are buffing the nails smooth, and then they're prepping and they're like, I don't know why I get lifting. I'm using a Skyver bit or whatever bit they're trying to use, but they haven't replaced their bit in 6 months. Well, these bits do not last forever. I will probably replace this every 2 months maybe. It's really, really essential that your bits are not getting smoothed down and that you're still using them. So the new website's going to have a subscription, and that's going to be one of the items that I, recommend that people just get on subscription, so that you don't have to worry about, how long's it been since I've gotten a new Skyver? Set it up for every couple of months, and that way you can make sure that your prep bit is not gotten old, because when people start to get lifting, that's a big problem with it. So the Russian manicure is a really popular new process people are doing, and it's awesome. I got to spend some time with the lovely Gabo in New York doing it, and it's cool, and it's got all these amazing bits. I'll show you my little bit collection. So all these amazing bits, which I'm going to have a set made for my website with those, which I really, really love them. But for a regular everyday in the salon situation, I don't have time to go through that many bits. I just don't. It takes a lot of time. However, the main thing that I really like is using a prep bit like this gets really good underneath the nail, but also lifts the cuticle up. And so your product will slide underneath the cuticle really, really nicely. Are you starting the subscription thing with the new site? Yes, Denise, the new site is going to have the subscription. It's also got a rewards program and some other cool stuff. So it also has pictures of every single Luxio color. So if you are wanting to buy a Luxio color, there's between 5 and 10 pictures of every single color. So there's a lot of great benefits to it. So if you just bear with me and let me finish, it'll be great. It also has the entire clear jelly stamping line, the plates, and all the gel polishes and accessories. So there's hundreds of new products that are going to be on there, and I'm going to do a grand opening sale. So just watch for my posts. But yeah, it'll take me a couple of days probably to finish and just make sure everything is perfect. But I'm thinking this weekend is going to be launch for that new site. So one thing I did learn this weekend, or last weekend when I was in New York, is I have been trying to prep with these prepping bits at a really low speed because I'm nervous. It is actually better for vibration and everything if you crank your speed up. So Gabo actually uses it at the full 30. I'm still struggling getting it up that high because I just have this, I don't know, fear of it, but it doesn't hurt the nail to turn it up. It's just, I just have this fear of, I don't know why.
Leah says good morning.
So, hello, Leah. Uh-oh, I turned off my thing. what did I do?
Technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties. We're trying to make sure we've got a tablet on so we can see what y'all are saying, and then I hit it. All right. So she's got like super, super easy cuticles, and so we love that. But there's not a whole lot for me to go and nip and everything like that. So now I'm going to take my file. So I'm going to grab a new file. And I always use an old file to remove the edges of my file. It's super, super important. To make sure that your file, that all the edges are totally smooth. So these zebra files, you can see that now I have this little green line here because I have removed all of the grit from the edges.
Is that so it doesn't cut?
That's so it doesn't cut.
Oh, okay. I was
Yeah.
just wondering why you did that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the only thing I learned in nail school. I had been doing my own nails for a couple of years before I went to nail school. And I would cut the crap out of my hands every time I would do them. And then when I decided, okay, I'm going to go to nail school, I was sitting there, and we had a nail tech teacher for about 2 weeks, and then she quit. But she started doing that with her file, and I raised my hand. I'm like, what are you doing? And she goes, oh, I'm just removing the grit off the side so I don't cut anyone. I'm like, oh, all right, awesome. So I was super excited. I didn't realize that would be the only thing I would learn in nail school, but that was the only thing I learned, because then I had a Supercuts hairstylist for a teacher. Yeah. Well, she was a teacher in training. She wanted to be a hairstylist teacher, and she had just quit her job at Supercuts, and so they put her in the nail area to teach nails. Oh, yeah. It was special. So I'm shaping the nail, and then I'm still going around with my regular file. Yeah, I went through and I used that prep bit, but I am really particular about making sure that everything is prepped absolutely as good as possible so that you get the best adhesion. It's super important to make sure that everything is perfect. So I'm checking the length. I always do this as kind of a, I don't know, a first check on length. I didn't realize I did it for years, and I had a client. It's a weird, quirky thing. And I had a client once who was like, why do you do that? And I'm like, why do I do what? She goes, press on my finger. And I said, what do you mean press on your finger? And I didn't even notice that I was doing it. She had to, I said, I have no idea what you're talking about. And so I went to go do it, and she goes, stop. And I was like, I don't know. Oh, I'm checking the length. I'm checking to see how far it is from the end of your nail to the end of your finger. And so it's kind of a quick just gauge check. And it's not exact, but it's a place to start, because you can really tell, you know, if one nail's just way longer than another by feeling like that. So that was just kind of how I developed a quick, like, is this nail way longer than the other? Now, at the end, I'll check it side to side, but you have to realize that sometimes people have just way longer nail beds. So on this hand, you know, in competition, you would want the nails to be the same length from here to here. But look how much longer her ring finger nail bed. This is like competition nail bed, and this is like normal person nail bed. So I kind of gauge from the middle. So I'll check the end of the nail bed, and then I'll kind of find an average, because otherwise you end up with an extremely long nail on one finger and a much shorter nail on the other finger. So it's kind of I find an average. And there's no rule that says you have to do it one way or the other. There is in competition, but in the real world, you kind of want to go with what your clients are comfortable with. And if I kept this nail as long as this one, it's going to be like out to here. And so the French is going to be all wonky, and you're going to end up with a completely different look. Or I could shorten this all the way to the fingertip, and it's going to feel funny. So you kind of have to gauge it and figure out what your clients are going to be comfortable with and how that's going to work for that particular client. In the real world, clients don't have perfect nail beds on every single finger. If she had this nail bed on every single finger, she'd be going with me everywhere. She does have lovely nail beds. Your money
maker nail bed.
Yeah. Well, this year I'll be starting to take my nephew with me everywhere because he's got the best nail beds. He went with me to Vegas for that show.
He did end up going.
He did end up going. I could only use one hand because he broke the freaking finger on the other hand. 2 weeks before the show, people. 2 weeks. So there's a little bit of lifting right there. So I'm just going to give this good morning to Heather. But yeah, he's got the most ridiculous hands. So I told him, I said, I hope you're making friends because these are your new people. He's like, this is really boring, sitting and getting judged, because judging takes hours. And I'm like, you'll live. I'm like, you can survive it. Hi, Teresa. So prepping the cuticle area again, just blending in, hitting that with my file to make sure everything's good, tapering down on the free edge, and checking to make sure it's good shape. Now this one was a little bit, the way it was curled after we filed it, it made a little bit rounder of an edge, and she likes it more sharp. Yeah, so when I apply the product at the very end, I'm going to make sure that this nail in particular has a little product kind of pulled out, so we get a nice sharp finish. But right now it looks like it's kind of rounded, but it won't be when we're done.
Cool. Heather says she can never wear square and make it look nice.
Well, a lot of the time, yeah, you've got to make sure that they're not flaring. Flaring is bad.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that. That's weird. They look like scoops.
It's so not cute.
Why do people do that?
Because some nail tech went on the OC, or some actress went on the OC. This is where flared nails, I believe, started from my understanding. And she had had her nails done by someone who did not know what they were doing. And suddenly it was a trend. Well, it's not anymore, thank goodness. It's come and gone for the most part. There's still a couple nail techs who like doing it. I refuse. I won't ever do it. But she, you know, had her nails done and then went on TV with these awful flared nails from a nail tech who created terribly flared nails. And
Teresa Cuticle wears them like that. That show, the medium.
Yeah.
Super, super
well,
wide.
and that's just it. Like they start from TV, people thinking it's a trend.
That's
it's
normal.
like, it amazes me that people think the whole like fur nails was actually something. So not.
What? Fur nails?
Oh, it was a runway show.
Oh.
Yeah, and so, you know, on the runway they do all kinds of craziness.
For the show only.
For the show only.
Yeah.
And someone went ahead and made it a social media ploy, like it was actually something someone did for real life. And it was even on a talk show. I can't remember which one, but someone's like, yeah, I'm going to give it a try. And so she'd gotten fur nails on for this talk show. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. It was not for real. Hi, Michelle. Yeah, you can stop in and do some shopping, but just know that if I'm here, I'm probably with clients, so you might have to wait to get checked out. This is Jessica White's last days, so if you come in to shop, just remember that during the day I'm with clients and I can't jump up right away, so you might have to wait to check out for a few minutes. Alrighty, so these are done. So now I will check length, so I will check to make sure that side to side they're even from hand to hand. Concentrating, quiet concentration. All right, so everything's thinned out, prepped, ready. I'm gonna go ahead and wipe her with nail prep, or you can use prep and wipe or 99%. Make sure that you're only scrubbing on the nail plate. You don't want to be rubbing all the oils from their nail all the way down onto their, or from their finger onto their nail, because you will end up with Oils on the nail, and oils on the nail is bad. All right, so I'm gonna take the wipe that I just used, just because I like to conserve, because this is the real world and we don't like to spend money on things we don't have to. So I take a little brush, and this is No Lift Primer, and I'm just going to very lightly brush it on. And what I keep this for is if I grab too much, like if there's a big ball here of primer, then I'll dab it off and bleed it off. But right now when I put it on, it doesn't flood, which means that I'm grabbing the right amount with my brush. If you put your primer on and it spreads and floods the whole nail, then you're putting way too much on and you can cause an allergic reaction. So try not to do that. Typically I get plenty just with the top, but if I run out, then I'll dab on the top like that and then bleed it off onto my wipe so that I make sure I don't have any. Now she has a lovely clump of hangnail here. I'm just gonna get a little bit of that and try to clean it up a little bit. Be careful with those. Go too far though and they will turn into a bleeding mess, which is really frustrating. Have you ever had a client where, excuse me, beverage was needed. Have you ever had a client where you're filing, or they have like a piece of cuticle sticking up and you go ahead and nip it away, and then it starts being like a floodgate and they start bleeding and bleeding, and you're like, oh my God, like their heart is connected to that spot in their body and it's just gonna pump all day long. And they're like, yeah, that happens in that spot all the time. Like they'll have a little spot of their finger, I don't know if they pick at it or what, but for them to even know that that spot does that is, it's a problem.
Or rip them.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh my gosh. So I now have a handy dandy new tool for those clients, which I have to say is, after doing nails for 17 years, was a lovely way. I'm doing both, Denise. So start with No Lift, and now you're gonna go to a Fix It. So No Lift and a Fix It do two different jobs. Your No Lift is going to dehydrate and microscopically etch the nail, so it's gonna turn chalky. Your Affix-It is like a double sticky primer, and so I'm gonna do both. So after grabbing the Affix-It, I'm gonna bleed it off, make sure I don't have too much on my brush, and go ahead on the nail. So she dehydrated relatively quickly. There's nothing that's still wet. If you have someone who's really, really oily, you may still be sitting there waiting for them to dry. So wait for it to dry. You want to give it time for, I have another one there. I'll get it later. You want to give it time for that No Lift to do its job. So if it's not chalky yet, it has not finished doing its job. So let it do its job. And I am putting the Affix-It all the way on the free edge because I have filed the free edges all the way down to the natural nail. So in a normal like 30-day manicure, you may not do that because you don't need to, but because I'm putting all white product on the free edge, I want to make sure, that one's still drying a little bit. I want to make sure that I am getting my Affix-It all the way on the free edge. So if you are doing standard gel manicures with just base coat color polish, Affix-It is going to prevent it from really being able to soak off on the whole nail. So, oopsies. It's because I have it on paper instead of like my hard desk. Okay.
Is there anything you can do to get that staining out, or disguise that staining underneath from like makeup or whatever it is?
Yeah, you can do underwear. So it's an extra coat at the end of the service. We flip your hand over and actually use Luxio Build. So I would drill out all of them, and then we do another coat of gel from the underneath. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and take my brush, and this is my well-used 106 brush. It's almost at the end of its life, but as you can see, the bristles are still holding together really well. So even though the handle is starting to look pretty darn shabby, I will keep using it until the bristles start being hard or funky. So I'm now using OptiBond. This is my standard bonding gel. It's my favorite for a couple reasons. I like applying bonding gel with a brush. If you prefer applying with a bottle, let's make sure I didn't lose you. I feel like I lost you all. Hold on one second. If you prefer applying products with a bottle and brush, it's gonna drive me crazy, then you can use the new X Bond, which is in a Luxio style bottle. You also have the choice of using it here if you're using Proformance gels. So there's a couple of options of what you would like to use. Go and put that in. I like OptiBond. It's from our Soak Off line, even though I never soak off. It's just a little bit more flexible than, say, Adhere or one of our hard gel bonders.
Denise wants to know why build underneath and not resin or whatever other thin viscosity gel. Like just putting another gel in.
I don't know exactly. It was a little trick I learned from Cindy, and she does it all the time. And so I was like, oh, cool, I'll do that. Maybe because it has a little bit more flexibility. The Build is a very flexible gel, and so it's going to move with the natural nail. And as you know, natural nails move a lot. So
I tried it with just the white paint on stuff from C&D, and it cracked and popped off. So that
yeah, and you want it to be able to adhere. And Build has a little bit of adhesion in it by itself, and so when you kind of combine those ideas, then you end up with a good base. All right, so today I'm going to be doing my white application with my 111 brush. This is our oval brush, and it is my favorite for applying gel, in the sense that I'm going to be doing it this way. And pink, 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 pink.
Pink is pink.
I had it out yesterday. Here it is. Okay. And I'm going to be using the white. So this is a mixture, and there's no lid on it because I keep a lot of my gels in my drawer without a lid, which is fine. This is a mixture of Builder French White and Competition White. Why do I Builder French White and Competition White? Builder French White is a very thick, these are the UV gels, by the way, so if you're wondering why you haven't heard of them, you only maybe have been looking at Performance gels. Builder French White is a very thick, very strong white gel. It really is quite strong, but it's not as white as I would like, and it also is a little bit too thick for me. But when you mix it with your Competition White, and it's not even a 1-to-1 ratio, it's more like 2 Builder White to 1 Competition White. When you mix it, you end up with this viscosity of white, which is a medium thickness, but it's still very strong, whereas Competition White by itself is not very strong, and it's pretty tricky to use because you have to get it on so thin, or it's not going to cure. It's got a lot of titanium dioxide in it. So this one is just, it's my favorite for a perfect combination of whiteness and strength. So I mix it, and then if you have a paraffin dip container or a mug warmer or something like that, if you can put it on there and let it get warm, it will turn into a really easy viscosity to apply. This is a little bit on the thicker side. It's been a little cold the last couple of days. But I'm used to just however it is. I've messed with it when it's been thicker and thinner, so it's not a big deal for me. But I do 4 fingers, and then I'll do the thumb separately just for gravity's sake, because gravity will try to pull the white sideways. So get your white on. I always go a little bit higher than where I want it to be because I'm going to be cleaning up my smile line. I don't do the reverse method. I know many nail techs do. This is my old school way. I've been doing it forever. I mean, you came to me back when I was in Redmond, right?
No, Bellevue.
Oh, just Bellevue, okay.
Yeah. I don't think you'd been there very long.
It's like almost 10 years. My daughter's about to turn 11.
Yeah, I think I hadn't even had my first son yet.
And now you have 3. 4. You 4?
Yeah, the oldest one's almost 25.
Oh, that's right. But I mean 3 little ones.
3 little ones, yeah.
You guys would not believe she has a 25-year-old. She does not look like it, so she lies.
Bless
but
you. You want extra
so
tip,
true.
don't you?
No, but it's true. No one would look at you and even think you had anywhere close to a 25-year-old. You probably go out with him and they ask how long you've been dating.
They think that the kids
See?
are his and he hates it.
So
He hates
true.
it. He wants a shirt that says Big Brother.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. All right, so now I'm going to take my 107 brush. This is a smaller brush than the 106. So if you put the two side by side, this is the 107, and it's a stiffer bristle. See how this is really flexible? This one's not quite as flexible, and it's smaller, so it lets me really get into these corners. Now, I have some clear gel in this, so if I've been wiping it, because I don't really use it for anything other than smile lines, if I don't feel like there's enough clear gel in it, it moves better with a little bit of gel in it. I'll just take my OptiBond, add a little bit more in there, and then wipe it. It's much better to have some gel in your brush than to have a dry brush. Balance your fulcrum finger, go down, and then come up. You can do it multiple times if you need to. I'm surprised that I like that one because I normally require multiple times. Like this one, I will need it. Go down and come up. Then you can check the side and make sure you get it as far down as you need it to be. So I don't do a lot of pink and whites in the salon. Most of my clients don't even know that I have pink and white gel. Most French that I do is just 30-day manicure style, and I use Blusher Delicate and Polar Pure or Ivory for whites. So there's a fuzz, and it's gonna be in my way. Get away. See that? Oh, so rude. It's called a rude fuzz right there.
Rude fuzz.
So yeah, there's a couple reasons for it. I don't like finish filing, and I cannot do a backfill like this without finish filing. It's a whole extra step of work. It takes me an extra 15 minutes to do this appointment than a regular appointment because of the extra steps in it. But
it's so beautiful when it's done.
And she's been coming long enough that she knows that I can, and so she's like, do it
about moving.
Anyway.
Find me someone, please.
So yeah, so not only do you need to be a tech down, and she's gonna be near Pasadena, so I'll get to see her when I come to the Pasadena show, so that's fun. But sorry, concentrating. You need to be able to do backfill with gel, preferably. All right, so after I have the 4 done, how I'm pleased enough with them. So this one's a little bit more V-shaped than rounded, and the others are rounded more. So I'm just gonna go ahead and go in here and just round it up a little bit so they're a little bit more consistent. All right, go ahead on in. So this combination of the white and the Builder French white, it allows me to get enough product on there also that when I put my pink on, and I'm gonna be using Coverage Pink, it sits up high enough on the nail because I already have an arch on there that I don't have to, wow, I used a lot. I don't have to worry about it not curing. It's gonna cure perfectly fine every time. So that's nice. So I kind of draw those lines as a guide. I just want to know where I'm pushing my product up to. you can just start pushing it around willy-nilly if you want, but I like to have a little bit of a guide there. So with this corner, remember I said I'm going to pull it down just so that I have enough product on the corner so that I can file it sharp. Camera froze. I hope it's keeps going. Okay. Lovely Georgia is off to the races. She's a horse fanatic. And she is down in LA. Is another horse that you're part owner at down there?
I'm looking at one down there. I've got 3 at Emerald Downs right now.
She has 3 horses that she's part owner at Emerald Downs. She goes and watches them race and wins sometimes.
Looking at getting into the California races. A little bit tougher to do.
Yeah.
Tougher to win.
More unpredictable because there's so many, or
It's higher class horses. They're better competition.
I know nothing about horse racing other than I like Secretariat. That's a fun movie.
Class, the harder it is to compete against them.
So if you get any bubbles, like I had a couple bubbles in there, just kind of push and pull your gel around to try to pull those bubbles out, because when you go to finish file, it's going to leave a divot in your nail if you don't. And it's annoying to have to fix that. So,
Had that happen. I didn't know what caused it. Now I do.
a bubble. Georgia is one of my clients who's actually gone to nail school. So
Actually, I just started doing them myself. I didn't.
oh, I thought you did go to nail
I
school.
was going to, and then I decided not to do it.
Oh, all right.
That's why I love these videos, so I can learn from you.
Well, in the event that you're stuck doing them yourself
I know,
in
I'm gonna
LA.
put the video on my own nails in the archive.
Well, she lives over a ferry right away. So what time did you have to leave to get here this morning?
5:30.
5:30. She came in for a 7:45 appointment. So it's dedication, people. She's a ferry right away, so she's got to drive and then catch ferry and then drive some more.
You can do this in an hour, and it takes me 9. That's why. I'm not kidding. I think one time it took me at least 8.5 hours. It was just horrid.
Yeah, it's hard to do your own nails.
Especially with this thick gel like that. The left hand was
Brutal.
fun.
It is easier to do reverse on yourself because you can file in your smile line. So all of mine were done with the reverse method. You do pink and then you file
it
the
down.
smile line, and then you push the white on and that's it. So for competition and stuff, that's really the best way to do it, especially if you're doing gel, to make sure you get a nice sharp smile line.
I have to learn how to use the e-file though. 'Cause I don't want to hurt myself and screw up my nail bed. I haven't
Well,
been
you
trained
need
on
to
the
go to,
e-file, so-
because you haven't been to school yet.
No.
You need to go to school,
Scared of
and
that
although school doesn't teach you anything anyway, but most of the professional classes you have to have a license to be able
Yeah.
to go.
I think that's been the hardest thing for me to learn is the e-file.
Yeah. Well, I took three classes before I even touched it, and I was still scared to use it.
Yeah,
And then
scary.
my lovely friend Vicki Peters was like, "Just shut up and do it," and I'm like, okay. And those who know Vicki know that she would say something just like that. That little corner is missing a little bit of gel, so I'm going to add a little bit more in there, just because I don't want it to be overrun by my pink. And then I just, sorry about that. Someone is trying to call me. I forgot to turn the cell. Well, I guess I can't really turn the cell part off. Do not disturb, I guess, would probably be the thing I have to turn off so that people can't call me while I'm videoing, because it freezes the video. So my apologies for the momentary freezing. So the bump in front here, when you look at it from the side, you should see a nice, good amount on the tip. And when I apply the pink onto that and then I finish file it, I will end up with all of the pink coming off of the white because the white is high enough at that point. So you want to make sure that you're not doing your white so thin that you can't, if you're trying to do this method, obviously there's a million different ways to do it. This is just the way that I do it. So you don't have to do it my way. You can do it a different way, but this is how I do it. So because I already have an arch in there because of the way that I filed her old product off, I can just put one coat of white, one coat of pink, and I'm done. If I was doing a full set, I would be doing 2 coats of white and 2 coats of pink, but I'm not doing that today, and I don't do it very often, so you might just have to take a class from me to see how I do that. So for those of you that have taken a class from me, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I've had a couple of questions this week that I'm going to go ahead and address. One lovely lady called me from a place, and she is wanting to bring on the product into her salon, and she was asking if I go train. I will go train at salons. So if your salon buys a certain amount of product that will help cover my expenses, then I will basically be going and doing it for whatever profit came through on the order. So I do go and teach at people's salons, but you typically have to buy the entire line to be able to do that, or you can have me come out and I just do a day rate and then expenses for there. And so I'll come out and do 2 days of classes at salons. So people have asked me if I do that. I do. And then you can really customize it to what your salon needs, what you guys are struggling with or wanting to see how to do. My schedule is crazy, so like there wouldn't be anything before the end of this year. It would have to be going into next year. Typically 6 months in advance I need to plan out, because I have an awesome class the end of October I'm going to in Florida, and I think there's 2 spots now available. So if you would like to take a class with Madeline Wolf, she's the global nail tech champion from Sweden. She is going to be at Wildflowers headquarters the end of October, Halloween week. So if you're a nail tech wanting to take her class, that is available. And it's a really not expensive price, to be honest. For getting 5 days of education, it's a really good.
From her too.
And yeah, from her. She's so much fun. I took 3 days from her last year. It was just, she's amazing. So, and those who came to nail camp last year was very lucky, and they were able to take some quick classes from her in the evenings. So it was such a fun treat. And the other organizer I was working on camp with was not happy about that decision, and so I have decided I am not going to be doing camp with her in the future. So I am still running nail camp, but there'll be, I've got one that is north of Atlanta. I've secured the location, so that is exciting. That's going to be May 9th through 13th. I've got to make a website and get the registration form up, but I've already secured a bunch of educators. So, and then that's for Nail Camp East. For Nail Camp West, the other organizer doesn't want me to take over the other camp, so I will create a new location, and I'm looking at doing it near Boise so that we can get the nail techs in Montana and Colorado and all of those areas be a little bit more central for them. I will still go to Vashon Island, but I will just be there as an educator. I won't be organizing and running that one. I'll organize and run the other 2 that I do. So as soon as my product website's done and my stuff, all the projects that I have for the Nail Camp cruise are done, then I will get the new website for Nail Camp East and West up for everybody. And we're counting down to the Nail Tech cruise, which is pretty exciting. That's coming up in just a few weeks, 5 weeks away from that.
Where does it go?
It goes, we leave from Vancouver, BC, and it's 5 days at sea, so that's when we're doing camp. So we have just as much education and time as we do at a regular 4-day nail camp. But it's 5 days. We're done at 3 o'clock, and then we go sit by the pool.
So nice. Good job.
And then 5 days at sea, and then we island hop around Hawaii. So we get to go to Hilo and Maui and Kona, and I have a couple clients coming. You can come.
Sounds so good.
I have some clients coming. There's another nail tech. She's got a client as her roommate. We have a couple parents coming. It'll be a great group. I've been collecting all the goodies, the swag, and we've got some amazing donations. Bio Seaweed Gel actually donated like over $2,500 in product for 25 nail techs. So lots of stuff to try. We've got stuff that came from Young Nails and Microplane, and
making me want to get back into nails.
I told you, it's a fun world.
I've only done them on myself, so it'd be weird to do it on somebody else.
All right.
That definitely goes good.
All right, so I'm going to put my white back in my drawer. I'm going to grab my cool pink. So I'm going to use natural cool pink. If you like the balance in the Proformance line, you can use that. Sometimes I don't use this very often, so sometimes you'll see that the clear separates a little bit from the pigment, and so just give it a little stir. I try not to create too many bubbles, but every now and then I'll just give it a quick little stir like that, just to reblend it. And then I'm going to just pile it on.
It's my favorite pink ever.
Yeah, I'm running a little bit behind, but my next client will be fine. Like I said, it takes me longer to do a French backfill like this than it does a version where I'm doing it and not having to finish file, because I do have to finish file and top gloss this still. There's a little bubble. So I have one other client that occasionally will make me do a backfill, not very often, but she likes a version of this pink that I have created where I used some light pink fine glitter into it. So I think I've done that on you before too.
Yeah, a couple times.
And that's really pretty. Gives a little bit of a glittery nail bed. So I just push it up to the white and then brush down. Doesn't really matter. If anything's on the white, it's going to file right off when I do my finish filing. A little fuzz. So if I remove too much, so if you look at the side of this, there's a little bit of a divot. After I've created a slick layer or a wet layer, I can string a little bit more on there and it'll smooth out and stuff level into the nail, because this is natural and natural is awesome like that. So once I've created the slick layer, you can do that if you need a little bit more in one spot. There's a little black speck. Not invited to the party. So anyway, yes, nailcamp.org will be the new location for the website. The Vashon one that I will not run anymore, I think she's going to keep that as NW Nail Techs. So, I just had to make that decision that I could not do that anymore. So I will be still organizing it, still doing it all the ways that I have done it in the past. But it'll just be in 2 new locations instead of the old location. And if Vashon is still happening, then I will attend that one. But she won't let me run that one without her, and I won't run it with her. So I will go elsewhere. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. And I gotta do it. Can't do it otherwise anymore. But I still love running camp, and I still love all the organizing. It's a lot of work, but I love it. I love seeing everybody, and I think it's because, you know, growing up, and that's one of the reasons we created nail camp, is that I loved summer camp. My daughter's at summer camp right now. She gets to do a couple of church camps a year, and then she does a YMCA camp that she gets to do next week that she's super excited about. I loved camp. And so when we were working on creating this event, doing it at a camp is awesome. And it's not camping, so we're not in, yeah, let me make that clear. We're not intense. We're in cabins. And Vashon is pretty outdoorsy in the sense that they're not super modern. The location that I've secured north of Atlanta is quite a bit more modern. The cabins are a little bit bigger in the sense that they're two-sided cabins, so I'll still just keep it at 6 per side, but the bathrooms are bigger, so you've got more bathroom space for the nail techs. We have lots of terrific educators coming to that one. I'll be there. Lauren Wireman, the fabulous Allie Baker is going to run our competitions for that one, as well as educate, of course. We have Angela Bledsoe. She's doing Swarovski. We have Nicole Atwood. She's coming and working with e-files. We have Tiffany coming with Elegant Glass. And, oh my gosh, there's so many, but off the top of my head, I can't think of who everybody is. We have about 10 educators, I think, at this point in time for Nail Camp in Atlanta. So once I announce that, there'll be an early bird special for the first 20 that sign up, because I got to pay the deposit that I just put down. So the first 20 people get a nice little discount so that I can pay back my poor credit card. But, you know, it's what you do to make things happen. But yeah, pretty excited about that. It's a beautiful location. It's next to a lake. And like I said, it's about 2 hours north of Atlanta, and it is in May. So it's before yeah, it's not too hot yet, because I'm not into hot Atlanta. That is not my thing. I don't know how y'all live in the humidity down south. I could not do it. If you didn't know where I am, I'm in Seattle, where it's nice and cool most of the year.
Your hair stays normal.
Your hair stays right. Yeah, or wet. Well, damp. People think it rains a lot more than it does. If y'all check and see how much it rains in Seattle, you'll be surprised to see that it actually rains less than Atlanta. I believe Atlanta is above us in total rainfall. Maybe not days of rain, but you know what's funny is that people don't realize that they count a day of rain as anything where there's like measurable precipitation. So it could rain at 2 o'clock in the morning. We could get a 1/16 of an inch, and it counts as a day of rain. We may never see rain that day, but they'll count it as a day of rain. So people think it rains 9 months of the year in Seattle because we have days where it'll just drizzle in the middle of the night and we'll never actually see rain.
Today.
Like today. So they count it as a day of rain, and you woke up and it's a little bit of gray sky. By the afternoon, it'll be blue. Blue skies and beautiful, but it rained early this morning, so it counts as a day of rain. So people think it rains a whole lot more than it really does. Is anyone still watching? There's like no comments coming up on my thing, unless it froze.
Should I take these out? I don't want to. Can they overcure?
No, they can't overcure.
Okay.
So if your client's going in and out of the light for heat, which is totally fine, don't make your clients sit there in the light if it's getting warm on them. They can take it in and out, and then if they've gone in and out a few times, I'll just have them go in again. It takes me a few minutes to get all the product on the nails, so that's fine. Just checking gravity here. I pulled that down a little bit, but I wanted to make sure there's enough product there. All right, go ahead on in. So, oh good. Hello, Heather. People are here. That's what I wanted to know. All right. So after this is cured, here's a trick. So if you don't know if your client has been sitting in the light long enough, listen carefully. That high-pitched clicking, that means it's cured. So it's just a very totally rudimentary way of checking, but back in the day when I had to use UV lights and you weren't sure if things were necessarily curing quite as well because people were going in and out of the light or your bulbs are getting old, you kind of learn to hear that sound. There's a much different sound if you click on it and it makes kind of a thud. It's probably undercured. So if it makes a high-pitched click, you're probably cured.
My nail tech that used to do acrylics, old school, used to do that. She used to tap on them before she take the forms off.
Yeah, well, and that tells you if your, if your acrylic is set up. So that's essential for acrylic. But for gel, it's certainly not scientific, but it will give me an idea if the client has probably been in the light long enough. Because they are going to go in the light again, obviously, when you do your top coat. And so it'll continue to cure at that point, but I want to make sure when I go to file the surface that it's cured. So, all right, so I'm very carefully with the smooth side of the file going and reshaping the top of the nail. Going around the cuticle, making sure it's beveled. And she likes a nice arch in it, so I don't try to take a lot of product off because she doesn't like hers super flat. She likes to have that curve, so. See, I listen.
I was gonna say, you know me better than I thought you did.
So you want to come down, and I'm tilting the nail up, and I'm tilting my file down and gliding across the tip. This is going to thin out your tip and not take off your arch. So see how the center of the nail is still all nice and shiny? And that's how you make sure that you don't take off your arch while you are doing your free edge filing. And then you can do your arch at the very end. It's the last thing you want to file. The worst thing you can do is put your file on the nail and just start going to town because you're going to flatten out your arch and your nails are going to be flat.
That's what I did wrong. I couldn't figure out why, because I would build them up and then by the time I was done they were flat. And I thought,
yeah.
how did that happen?
So, and then I'm going to roll. I'm rolling the finger and I'm rolling the file up, and this is to make sure that my sides are coming straight out. And so when I look at them from down below, I want them to be straight out or slightly tapered because I'm going to be adding top coat, so that's going to make them flare if you don't have them just ever so slightly tapered. But I don't want to go crazy, otherwise I'll take off too much white, which so happens. It's another problem I have with backfills, is that I hate when I take off too much white. I do it more on full sets than anything else. My Salon Success nails in Vegas were awful because I way overfiled the white. It's terrible. So bad. Here's my next one. Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, she's super easy, so we can go a few minutes over. It'll be all right. It's lovely, Melissa. She's got the teeniest, cutest little nails.
Hello.
That's because she's teeny and cute.
She is teeny and cute. She's teeny and cute with teeny and cute little nails.
Are you talking about my nails?
Yes.
My short little nail bed.
She's got the tiny, she has like little tiny, I think my 10-year-old's nail beds might start being a little bit bigger than hers. They're just super darlingly cute. So. Yeah. No. That's right. Because you're normally the first, and so you come straight over and sit. All right, so you don't want to overfile your white. Remember that you're always going to be hitting the underside with your electric file at the end of your service. So you don't have to make your white super, super thin. If you do, you might overfile it. At the end of the service, I always file up from the edge, no matter whether it's a backfill or a 30-day manicure. I always thin out the free edge, and so you don't have to worry about it being paper thin unless you're competing, and then you do. But competition nails are meant to break.
Just to make them thinner.
To make them thinner. Also, the other reason it's important is because as the nails grow out, they tend to curl, right? And so you get separation from the gel as the nails grow out and as they curl. If you thin out the natural nail from underneath a little bit, it has less strength to pull down. And so it tends to stay attached and curl less than if you don't. So by doing that, you're thinning it out, but you're also preventing free edge separation from curling as the nail grows out.
Which happened to me because I had the 5 weeks and it was curling and stuff was getting under there and staining makeup and such.
Ah, hello, Kristen. There's a few people hanging out with us. They're hiding though. Most of my watchers, I think, are on YouTube. So if you're on YouTube, hello. If you want to be part of the video when I go live, you can friend me on Facebook. Jessica Brierman. And so if you're a nail tech, I'll typically friend you. If you're a random dude, I'm probably not going to friend you. I don't think my husband would appreciate me friending random dudes. So again, I'm beveling around the cuticle. Coming up and making sure the edges are straight. So see this, I had gone out far enough in that corner, now it's straight out. Thin out the edge to your liking. So again, this is an old school way of doing a backfill. It's just my way. It does not mean it is the way that some people say is the exact proper way, because there's so many ways to do it. I think in the way of doing nails in the world, there is no like, you must do it this way. I think there's multiple ways to do stuff. And, you know, there's, especially if you're in different places, that also makes a difference. And some nail techs may do it, you know, the reverse method and take the nail all the way down to nothing every time they do it. And that's fine for them. I don't do it that way, but you definitely can. Now, if I did more of these, maybe I would adopt a different way. But since I don't do them that often, I just stick with my old school way.
Which works for me.
Which is what makes her happy. She doesn't want me to do it a different way. Hello, Amy Masters. Amy has her own video show that she tends to do quite often, all the time. Every now and then I can catch it. And she talks to some great nail techs all over the world, which is pretty fun. But we are finishing up this French backfill the old school way.
Perhaps you can find me a tech in LA.
Yeah, Amy. So my lovely Georgia here is about to move to LA. One of my many that have moved this year. And she is looking for a tech that can actually do French backfills with gel.
Near Pasadena.
Near Pasadena. So I don't know if there's a... I mean, there's a database. If you go on Facebook, there's a database called Find a Nail Tech in Your City. There is. So what it is that database called Find a Nail Tech in Your City will have listings of nail techs who have submitted their information. So check out the arch. This is how she likes it. So she likes quite a bit of an arch, so I leave it, okay? Some people have that as a natural arch. She doesn't, but she likes it, so we make it.
It's just hard to find, the right tech. It's so hard. How do you know, that won't ruin your nail bed?
Yeah.
It drills.
You have to interview them. What do you use? How many classes have you attended in the last 5 years? You know, find out if they're up in education, how well they know their products, that kind of a thing. But yeah, so if you go to Find a Nail Tech in Your City, it's a group on Facebook, or it's a page. I think it's a group. They have a file there, and you can search by state. And then nail techs that have gone on there have listed, typically, I don't know if they list what products they use, but they definitely list what services they do. So you can find some gel techs, and then you can call. Yeah. Then you can call and ask them questions, what products they use, find out their Facebook pages, take a look at their work, and see if you can locate someone that you like their work and you like the product they're using. So
Perfect.
a combination of those two things should help.
It's just important to me, technique.
She's an Akzentz girl now.
Yeah, for sure.
Hi, Teresa. Okay. Amy, mine, oh my goodness, they are a hot mess. I took a class from Gabo, who's a world champion in, she's from Budapest, and I took a class in New York last weekend, and in order to keep them from breaking, I piled a bunch of gel and crystals on them because I didn't want to redo my nails yet. So, cheating. Okay, that's my old one. That's not the one that I want. So I'm going to top coat her with Ultra Gloss. Ultra Gloss is our Proformance line top coat. You can use the UV Top Gloss Clear Bright. They're basically the same thing, but this one cures faster. So, all right.
This one stays really shiny too. I like it.
Yeah, they stay really shiny. So I'm using my 106 brush and just get it as close to the cuticle as you can. And then with this gloss, you want to make sure that you are floating it over the nail. And the reason I say that is because I see a lot of people apply gloss like this. This is incorrect. See how the bristles are flaring as you pull down? This is an incorrect gloss application. When you do this, you see little bits in the nail. It's not going to be super shiny. You're not going to get a good coverage. It sometimes will shrink a little bit like that. Like there's a whole bunch of reasons you don't want to do that. So after you push it around the cuticle, hold this brush flat and pull very lightly on top. You want to float it over. And that's going to give you a perfect gloss application. Is there little bits of dust on the nail? Yes. Did I cleanse it with nail prep? No. Do I care? No. Why? Because it's all gel dust and it's just going to melt together and it's all going to be the same. And it's not going to matter. If there were big chunks, I'd worry about it, but they're not. They're very fine little bits of gel dust and they will just melt into the gel that I'm working on. So again, after I get it around the cuticle, then I'm just very lightly, I'm not even really touching the nail at that point. I'm just pulling down. Put that pinky down. Sometimes your clients, especially with their pinkies, will stick them straight up in the air. Tell them to push them down because otherwise your gravity is going to pull your gloss into the cuticle and that's not fun to get out.
I have a problem with that too. I've always done that.
I know, I have some, and sometimes people just can't not do it, and so I'll just flash cure it and that'll keep it from moving. There's a little bit here in the front. I'm not concerned with that. That's going to zip off with my e-file. It looks like it's just a chunk that's underneath the nail that I didn't really need to mess with. And then I bumped into that because this is real salon nails. Real salon nails. Cheating never looks so good. Thanks, Amy. It doesn't look so pretty covered in nail dust, but, you know, it was a way that I didn't have to redo my nails right away. And they're totally random. Some of these nails are done with acrylic. Some are done with the crystal nails, basically polygel stuff, which was interesting to work with. It's the first time I'd worked with anything like that. I kind of like it. It's kind of fun. I think it'd be easier doing my own nails with it. Go ahead and put that in, please. Did you bump?
Check it, make sure.
Oh, yep. Ah! She's sticking her thumb up in there, and then I bumped that.
Couple of specks on that one. Just make sure it's not in the top gloss.
Hold on, stop. Put your hand down. Let me do it. Thank you. No, it's not.
It's in pink. Okay.
Yeah, it's in pink. So I will probably redo my nails. I don't know. I was going to do them this weekend, but I'm moving. I'm packing up our house to put it into our storage stuff so that we can sell our house. And so on one hand, it would be easier probably to move furniture and stuff that I have to do with much shorter nails. But on the other hand, then I have to do my nails. Relax your hand.
Waste moving time.
Relax your hand. There you go. No, your fingers are still sticking up. Relax your hand. She can't do it. She can't.
Spaz.
part of the reason I think we bumped is because the camera does kind of get in the way sometimes, but I want you guys to see from my perspective. That's why I set this up this way, because this is, you know, like I said, real salon nails. She's a real client. She likes being a movie star. Just kidding. That's why you're moving to LA. I knew there was a reason. Dang it. Well, I do know some nail techs down there, but they all do celebrities. They're old competitors, and it's like, well,
then I'll just have to become a celebrity, and then...
Alrighty then, you know, there's just sometimes you just have to do what you have to do. All right, so after that's how to cure, you want to just give it a good scrub-a-dum. And then I always will hit it again with my file, especially with her, to make sure it's sharp because she likes it sharp. So I want to make sure all my top gloss is very sharp all the way around. Top gloss is sharp all the way around. Let me explain. Sometimes your gloss will pull to the side one way or the other, and I don't want it creating anything other than a completely sharp look.
Yeah, it feels rubbery when it does that.
So see right here, there's a little bit of top gloss. That's another reason I'm gonna hit that with my e-file. But just gonna make sure this is nice and sharp. Okay, so I'm gonna grab my e-file. Now, if you have someone that has a really, really deep C-curve, like for example, her pinky is quite a bit more C-curved. So I can grab this bit, which is a cone bit, and I can do this step with a cone bit, and that way I don't flatten out her C-curve. And moving on, you can do all of them with this, but I find it's much faster to do it with this because it fits. All right, and then I just oil. Oil is essential. There's a couple reasons I started with this process of oiling. So when you used to use UV lights, or sometimes when you go to remove the tacky, there's a little bit of white gel here. I'm just gonna get rid of that. If you don't get rid of it all, people would go wash their hands and then come back and go, oh, this nail's not shiny. It's because there was a little bit of tacky residue left on it. And so by applying oil and rubbing it in, you do a couple of things. You moisten their cuticles again so their nails look fresh, and it also removes any residual tacky that might be left on the nail. And then you end up with a backfill. There it is, guys. Ta-da! So thanks for joining me. I hope this helped give you a couple of tips. If it did, leave me a comment. And if there's any other videos you want to see in the future, let me know. And thanks for joining us. And if you live in LA and you can do this, let us know so Georgia has somewhere to go. All right, thanks guys. We'll see you later. Bye.